So Dani, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. What experience have you had personally with domestic violence?
Well, as a child, I witnessed domestic violence in my home. My mom was a victim of domestic violence from an abusive alcoholic boyfriend for a lot of my childhood, and then I personally was sexually abused as a child, and then as an adult as well. So I've had experiences on both ends, both as direct and then kind of secondary. Both of them affect you though.
And how do those things affect you as a child and carrying on into your adult life?
I think they affect people differently. It depends upon what you let them do. You know what I mean? God, they make you so self-aware. It can make you feel like, what am I doing, or what did I not do, or what could I have prevented, what could I have done? And so those things, when you're a kid, really stick with you for a while, and it takes you time to realize that those things aren't necessarily your fault. You know what I mean? And the same thing with being a direct victim. Sometimes you place the guilt on yourself. It's funny how we always do that. As children and as adults, we internalize it, and it's like, well, why did I put myself in that position, or why did I do whatever? And the reality is, mentally, intellectually, we always know that it's not your fault. You know how everybody tells you, oh, it's not your fault, and you know it, but knowing it here and knowing it here are two completely different things. So it affects your relationships. It affects how you deal with your children. I mean, I'm extremely honest with my daughters, because I was adamant we were going to break the cycle. It was not going to happen to my girls, and they were going to be aware that if it did happen, mommy would believe them. They could come to me, they could trust me, and I would happily need bail money at the end of the day, because those are my babies. You know what I mean? So it does. I think that everybody has to decide how they're going to deal with it, and whether they let it. For a while, it's gonna impact you negatively. You just can't help that, right? But the key to that thing is when you get to the place where it's not that you're grateful that it happened, but you're grateful for the person that it's made you become. And when you can get to that place, that's when you're in a good spot.
Let's talk about the domestic violence you experienced directly. Tell us about how that happened.
Okay, so the one when I was a child, was a family member was involved in that, and that was one of those things. What a lot of people don't realize is that 9 times out of 10, it's by someone you know. It's either a family member, a friend of a family member. It's always close to home, because those are the people that you let in. You know what I mean? Strangers, you don't let get that close to you. So that's what people don't understand, is that usually it's there. And so that was it. I was in the care of someone else when my mom was working. My mom was a single mom. She had a lot on her plate, and so she couldn't be there all the time. So that's kind of what happened as a child, and that happened for over the course of a period of a long time. And I had several different instances. I had a run-in with a neighbor as well. So I had more than one instance. So I don't know if that's the norm or not, but for me, that's how it happened. And then the other one was I was actually older, and I was in the military, and let somebody take me home, give me a ride, and let them come in to have conversation. And even now, I start to say to myself, I should have known better, but you really don't know better. And so, yeah, and no, I didn't fight back. People will ask you about that. Well, why didn't you? And I would kick and I would scream. Well, they all tell you not to, because you can put yourself in danger. And you know that if you don't, then it'll be over. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that was a full out rape when I was older. So yeah.
Okay.